Thank you all for joining us for this great event. We're going to visit businesses off the beaten path or outside the Main Street area that we usually don't get to visit on our hops. We are lucky to get a behind the scenes look at these businesses and to network with other amazing businesses in our community. Our networking events, including tonight's events, are proudly sponsored by Herald Financial Services. Thank you, Kevin, Roberta, and team for your continued support of the Chamber and greater business community. It is truly appreciated. Welcome to our guest speakers, Tracy and Jack, Jacob, Brea, and Breton, Casey, and Audrey and Bohi. We can't wait to hear from all of you. We will begin our hop with Tracy and Jack of Curve Lake Cultural Center. The Curve Lake First Nation Cultural Center is located at 1024 Mississauga Street. Their mission is to increase awareness, education in the visual and performing arts and culture and humanities for First Nation residents of all ages. They specifically concentrate on youth development. They serve as a focal point for the community and visitors to the area interested in local and regional First Nation cultural and events. It is their utmost priority to ensure that the history as Curve Lakers is maintained and preserved for generations to come. I'd like to welcome our first speakers, Tracy and Jack.
Hi.
Hello.
My name is Tracy Taylor, and I am an Anishinaabe from Curve Lake First Nation, and I'm also the cultural outreach worker for the center.
And my name is Jack Hogarth. I'm from Curve Lake, Burleigh Falls, Old Crow, and Fort McPherson, Northwest Territories, and I'm the cultural archivist for the Curve Lake Cultural Center.
So is this where I start the poll? So did you know if you have found, Curve Lake First Nation had Canada's first Indian Act woman chief? Poll 1, true or false? Awesome.
That's a good turnout. Not a lot of people know that.
Her name is Elsie Knott. Okay. Get into the video.
In terms of programming, the Cultural Center, we offer outreach programming to various education institutes, ranging from elementary all the way to post-secondary graduate school. We reach out to private firms. We have municipalities that we provide outreaching for. And so some of the subjects that we cover range from treaties to our oral history, all the way to basically contemporary issues, residential school, 60 scoop, the Indian hospital testing, day schools. So we cover all these subjects, and we try and bring in our elders and knowledge keepers that have expertise within these areas to deliver some of this programming for us. And so that way it comes from not only our community, but it comes from people that experience these systems firsthand. We offer more kind of like internal outreach for our own community. So we offer workshops in regards to culture, so fire workshops. We also do out on the land workshops. We do language workshops. We try and cover all those bases because as First Nation people, especially Mississauga and Anishinaabe, it's important for us to know that language because that language and culture go hand in hand with one another. And especially in Curve Lake here, well, amongst all the Mississauga Nation communities, our dialect is starting to disappear with those older ones. So it's of utmost importance for our cultural center here in Curve Lake to promote that language and that dialect of Anishinaabe so that our youth can carry that on. We actively participate in any repatriation efforts. We used to reach out to museums and stuff prior to COVID, and any artifacts that were deemed to be from our community, our are returned back to us. And so now that we have sufficient space to store these artifacts, we're now can see them, can see our past history. And it also speaks to our archives. We are currently in the process of cataloging all of our archives. So that way, independent researchers, students at whether it be Trent or Laurier, if they're studying anything in this area, they can come into our cultural center and they can look through our archives.
We do have a small little gift shop in the cultural center, and we try and outreach to our community arts and crafts people who do little things on their own time and purchase them off them, and then we sell them at the center.
Great.
You know, if you have found artifacts, the next poll, you believe are from Curve Lake, you can take them to the cultural center for archiving. Yes, I have done this. Yes, that is great. Or no, tell me more.
Okay, so maybe I can speak to the archiving bit. So generally, any artifacts, especially when we deal with personal artifacts, sometimes there's people that are on farms. As we know, we're all within this farming territory. When they dig up the land, a lot of artifacts will tend to come up. And so there's kind of like collections of families. And then eventually it gets to the point where these families don't know what to do with these artifacts anymore. And so they can reach out to the cultural center and we'll take them in. And even if, so in archaeology, there's specific methods on where to determine where something comes from. And if we find that a certain pipe comes in that's, let's say, Huron style, we'll contact the Huron Nation to go through that repatriation effort. So not necessarily do we keep everything, but we make sure that it's kept safe and that ceremony is always brought around it.
Okay.
So we can probably open up to some question and answers. I think we have one in the chat here, Mary, if you want to take a look at that, and then we'll see if anyone else has some questions they can pop on and unmute themselves as well.
Okay, so from Sherry to everyone, what is your most treasured artifact at the Cultural Center?
Oh, geez. I think it'd be hard to mention just one because we have a few pipes that date back to 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 years ago. But we do have a bead of regalia of Joseph Wheatung. And that was one of our members here in Curve Lake that was a signatory to, I believe, he was either a signatory to Treaty 20 or the Williams Treaty. And so his regalia that he has here, it's probably around 150 years old. So I'd say that's probably one of the most important artifacts that we have here that talks about Curve Lake history.
Do we have any more questions?
Looks like Cindy has a question.
Awesome. So I am so happy you guys are here. I'm just so honored that you would join us. I was taking notes like mad. So I want to say how much I loved your phraseology of knowledge keepers, of your elders, and hearing that straight. I think we are losing so much of that, and I love that you give honor to your elders as knowledge keepers. I think that's amazing. Elsie Knott, I think, is a rock star. And I remember we heard a story when we were working on the ARC committee trying to save our high school. And back in the day, she wanted to get kids to the high school, and she fixed up, and you'll probably know the story better than me, so forgive me if I'm not getting all the details right, but she fixed up a hearse, or that was the biggest vehicle she could get a hold of, and she packed kids into a hearse to get them to school. So she did what she had to do. So that's amazing. And if I'm getting that wrong, please correct the details. And then what would you say is your biggest attraction? You kind of already answered that a little bit with Sherry, but is there one event that you guys would do, you would say is your biggest draw?
Want to answer that, Tracy, or do you want? Okay. So actually, just a little bit of background on Lakefield High School. After the residential school system closed, not a lot of people know this, but Lakefield High School was the first school in all of Canada to open its doors to Indigenous people. I'm not sure if that came across in those meetings, but
It did.
I'm glad it did, because I was a little upset that it did close down. In terms of our biggest attraction, I'd have to say powwow, hands down. Over the years, Tracy's been involved with powwow more than I have, for a lot longer. But ever since I've been here, we've seen that attendance grow from 4,000 all the way up until our last powwow, where we had 8,000 people in attendance.
Wow.
And when COVID came into our community, but when the COVID pandemic went across Canada, we had to shut down our powwow, but we held an internal powwow for our own community with COVID-19 protection and stipulations in place. And so we were still able to carry on that tradition of hosting it every third week of September.
Awesome, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
We have a couple more questions here. Andrew Wolf would like to know, is the center able to be open this summer?
We're currently, so I know our chief and council, since we're a little bit different than provincial lands, we're on federal lands. So we get to decide basically when we open up to the whole public and stuff like that. So that's a decision still with chief and council. I'm not sure if we are going to move forward, but I don't know how much more I could speak to that. A good question though, thank you.
Do we have time for one more quick question?
We can do one quick question and then we'll have to move on to the next presenter.
Okay, so Brea and Breton would like to know, is Tracy's Wild Rice dinner on the taste of the TSW? But I don't know if that's a question for you, Jack and Tracy. Is it?
Not sure yet. We just got the call. We just got the notice that it's even available, but I'm not sure yet.
Okay, well, you'll have to keep us posted for sure.
For sure.
So if there's any additional questions or inquiries, we can email them to Tracy, or we can put them in the chat and follow up with them afterwards. So thank you very much, Jack and Tracy. I appreciate your presentation.
Right.
Thank you. Our next presenter is Jacob Rodenberg of Camp Kawartha. Celebrating its 100th year, Camp Kawartha is an award-winning not-for-profit charity. They are dedicated to teaching children to care for the earth and for each other. In a non-pandemic year, they reach over 17,000 participants through summer camps, outreach programs, outdoor education programming, and their forest school. They operate from 2 facilities, the main camp and the Environment Center. They have developed over 90 curriculum-linked outdoor and environmental programs and are working with over 40 partners in the Peterborough community. They hope to inspire kids who care and make a difference. Welcome, Jacob.
Thanks so much for being here. Yes, it's been a bit of a difficult year because our mission is to teach kids to connect to the outdoors, but they've been spending an inordinate amount of time in front of screens. We're hoping that this summer will run. We're still trying to work with public health to see if we can run overnight summer camp. And we're looking forward to the pandemic being over and getting kids outside. Richard Liu calls it vitamin N, vitamin nature. I think we all need a big dose of it. We presented a video. Is that still there? Hey, welcome everybody. So nice to see you all here at Camp Kawartha on a beautiful sprummer day. What do I mean by sprummer? Well, it's springtime, but it sure feels like summer, so I call it sprummer. Camp Kawartha is a not-for-profit charity, and we've been in existence for, well, that's a question for you. How long has Camp Kawartha been around? Is it A, for 25 years, B, 50 years, C, 75 years, or D, 100 years? I'll let you mull that over. It's just to see if you've been listening.
This is a test.
The test. Yeah. Hey, it is 100 years. Clear. I'm not 100 years old. Some days it feels like it. And we're really pleased to be here. We have a mission statement, like many not-for-profits do. So my question to you is, what do you think our mission statement is? Is it A, to teach kids to camp? Is it B, to teach kids to have fun in the outdoors? Is it C, to teach everyone to care for the earth and for each other? Or is it D, to foster sustainability and stewardship? I'll let you think about that. Warning, it's a trick question. If you answered all of the above, you're correct. Camp Kawartha is interested in fostering a sense of stewardship and sustainability, caring for the environment, protecting the earth. All of those things are important to us, and especially having fun in the outdoors. How do we do that? Well, we offer overnight camps, as we've been doing for 100 years, while we even offer outreach camps up in Juniper Island and Jack's Lake and Coe Hill. During the school year, we offer residential overnight outdoor education programs for school groups. We have over 90 programs linked to the curriculum. We even run a little forest school for kids between the ages of 5 and 12, all about learning the Ontario curriculum, but using the outdoors and nature as our classroom. We offer workshops on sustainability and nature connection. We train teachers and early childhood educators, best practices in environmental education. And during the school year, we also offer up our facilities for rentals such as conferences, family reunions, retreats, even green weddings. So it leads me to the next question. How many people does Camp Kawartha serve in the course of a year? Is it A, 1,000, B, 5,000, C, 10,000, or D, 17,000? Again, just seeing if you're listening. This is a test.
I think you can tell you work with kids all the time. This is great reinforcement learning.
Let me try. I'll let the video Jacob answer. If you guess 17,000 or more, you're correct. Camp Kawartha reaches that many people through our year-round operations. We won 20 awards for our work in fostering environmental sustainability. You know, these days, it's unprecedented. We've lost half of the Earth's biodiversity since the 1970s. In other words, if you took all of life and weighed it in 1970, and you took all of life and weighed it in 2021, there'd be less than half. So we humans have to figure out another way to live more sustainably, more regeneratively. And that's what Camp Kawartha tries to do. We do that through our amazing sustainable buildings. Camp Kawartha's Environment Center is one of Canada's most sustainable buildings. It has rainwater harvesting, geothermal, passive solar, active solar. Whenever we teach kids about these things, these are small acts of hope to show them that there's a better way forward, a way that we can include nature in our building designs, a way that we can live producing less carbon and be more gentler on the earth. So if you want to find out more about Camp Kawartha and all the things we do, please visit us at our website, www.campkawartha.ca. And we hope to see you once again once the pandemic is over so we can continue our good work of fostering stewardship and sustainability for the next century. Thanks.
That's awesome. All right. Do we have any questions?
Sorry. Can I raise my hand physically, Jacob?
Yes.
Can you just clarify you're still waiting on overnight camps yourself?
Yeah, nice to see you, Bree and Brendan.
Yeah.
We did have a meeting with Public Health today, and it looks like it will go forward on the 5th, but it is difficult, and it has been challenging, but yes, hopefully we can forward and get kids outside. Thanks.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, I'll raise my hand.
Yes.
Sure, go ahead, Cindy.
Sorry, thank you. Always have to make sure I'm off mute. So what's your favorite environmental practice at Camp Kawartha? Of all the things that you do, and I've been there at some events, and you taught me how to make fire. You've taught me how to do some really cool things. So what's your favorite environmental practice at Camp Kawartha?
I guess for me, it is teaching kids hope and planting things, planting gardens, planting trees, having chickadees land in your hand, which we do here, hand feed chickadees, so that literally the small feet of the chickadee brush against your fingers and you're literally in touch with nature. The more positive interactions we can have with kids and nature, I think the better for them and for the earth. If there's a new word that I'm loving these days, it's regenerative, saying that we can do better, we can plant more, we can bring nature closer to us, and in that way create a greener world, which is what we desperately need.
Awesome. Love that. Thanks, Jacob.
I'll ask. I was lucky enough to attend Camp Kawartha when I was 9 years old from Apsley Central Public School. We went for 3 days, 2 sleeps. It was the best outing ever.
Awesome. I'm glad to hear that. I don't know if I was there at the time, but
I don't recall.
it's so great to get kids from all over coming and to give them an overnight, to see stars for the first time, right? Get away from city lights, hear a loon calling. These are things that are so important.
Amazing.
Sherry?
Hi, Jacob.
Hey.
When the chamber was last at the camp, you were telling us about a great capital campaign that you were starting. I suspect that COVID has had an impact on that, but I wondered if you might give us an update.
Yeah, thank you. No, our dream is to become a nationally relevant environmental education leadership center and to showcase the very best in regenerative design. So we wanted to replace our old dining hall with one of Canada's very first living buildings. And the architect who came up with this idea looked at a tree and he said, just by virtue of being there, that tree does more good than harm. It uptakes carbon, it gives it oxygen, it provides food, it aerates the soil. Why can't a building be like that? So we've been trying to raise something like $6 million to help build this building. It's stumbled because of COVID, but we're keeping the dream alive because we feel like that's, again, another hopeful thing kids can look at and say, I would like to live like that. Wow, just do more good than harm. What a nice philosophy that is.
It's perfect.
Yeah, thanks for asking.
Do we have any other questions?
I think we have one question in the chat, and then after that, we can move on to our next presenter. So Andrew Wolf has asked, do you offer anything for adult kids?
Absolutely. We rent our facilities out on weekends and we do workshops. We've had the SWAT team out, the firefighters, we've had banks out. We love doing visits with adults too, because oftentimes they can be better behaving kids, but not always. But we have a climbing wall, high ropes, initiative problem-solving tasks, 185 acres to explore. So short answer, yes, we love adult kids.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Jacob.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity. Wonderful to see
Thank
you.
you. Thank you. Our next presenters are Bria and Breton of the Land Canadian Adventures. The Land Canadian Adventures is an award-winning family business in North Kawartha, Ontario, that specializes in 4-season backcountry excursion, day adventures, and team building in Ontario and BC's most beautiful location, safe, educational, and unforgettable. Their vision is to live a life of wisdom, balance, joy, and peace, and support others in doing the same. I'd like to welcome Brea and Brett.
Hello, everyone.
Friends, thanks so much for having us today. This is a lovely visit. I appreciate you organizing it and for inviting us.
Yeah, it is really nice to virtually hop with everybody around the Kawarthas.
And thank you to the two that we've heard before. They're dear friends and northern stars in our experiential design and just an ongoing inspiration. So
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
I just wanted to say in particular, it was really cool to see the lineup for today, because these are either organizations and individuals that we've already worked with, especially when we first started out like 8 years ago in the neighborhood. So it was really nice to see the familiar names and then a couple names that we've been meaning to connect with. So I'm looking forward to some of the next presenters. And on that note, we might as well just slide into our couple of videos.
Thank you.
The LAN has specialized in outdoor language programs for international students since 2012. Learning languages through the outdoors at LCS is the culmination of a decade's worth of work for us.
This is a unique opportunity for students to earn a high school credit in 4 weeks and improve their English or French skills by leveraging fun experiences in the great outdoors and all that a Canadian summer has to offer.
What's amazing about this program is how much students grow and develop in just a month. No matter where a student starts their language learning journey, we always see such a huge difference by the end of the program in reading, writing, listening, speaking, and so much more. They walk away with more knowledge about themselves and confidence as well.
So there you have it. That's everything we do. Just kidding. We actually do, we do even more than that, because that doesn't even touch on what we've mostly been doing over the last year, which is engaging folks who are primarily students at Fleming College and Lakefield College School, but other community-based organizations have engaged us too, to get together with people virtually in order to prompt them, push them, nudge them to actually connect with their own surroundings, their own neighborhood, their.
To coin a Jacob Rodenberg.
Exactly. He's our mentor, so we're talking directly to our teachings from him.
That's right. Since 2019, the land has delivered hybrid and fully remote outdoor training and education programs for corporations, community groups, and students around the globe, leveraging a variety of interactive online platforms designed to help our partners achieve either their educational or training objectives while exploring their surroundings.
And we also go into wilderness skills training, where we organize training in the necessary requirements for full-time outdoor and part-time outdoor educators and wilderness guides. Additionally, we provide certifications in traditional and bushcraft skills through the OWLS program, which is Ontario Wilderness Living Skills.
And of course, experiential travel and tourism. We arrange the logistics and lead all-inclusive backcountry adventures and day trips by canoe and snowshoe in the parks all around us that we know and love, and in our own backyard across Ontario, and until recently, really exploring British Columbia as well.
And we're definitely focused on education and corporate groups, like I mentioned. And so if the objective is embarking on a backcountry boot camp to challenge your team on a muddy adventure race, or thriving in a wilderness survival simulation, teams build on the land. And we also advance any of your curricular objectives, but given our history as English language teachers, that's been our expertise outside.
Yeah, another little stream of our programs or services that has really grown lately has been experiential design and content solutions. We build experiential self-reliance into our partners' in-house and external programs, and leverage the power of wilderness travel and nature connection to help them understand and communicate their stories.
And basically our vision here is, as we said, to leverage the power of wilderness travel and nature connection to help people overcome life-wide and lifelong obstacles for themselves, their families, and their communities.
We've given a little bit of thought to some of the core values and North Stars over the last year. It's been a really nice occasion for us to hunker down and drill into how our business improves the world. One, we take a page out of John Muir's book in hoping to demonstrate and show a land ethic where a thing is right when it tends toward the integrity, stability, and beauty of the ecological community, and wrong when it tends otherwise.
And we're focused on the continuity of natural and cultural heritage of the land. And there's a natural connection available to us through modes of travel, shelter, fire, water, and food security. And that evolves as you spend more time on the land and outside.
Then there's just a very simple wager that meaningful movement is medicine.
And we're keeping it simple. When it comes to transformation, we believe that stable sleep, good food, plenty of sun, physical activity, a reflective practice, and purpose-driven life are the ways we can ensure we are doing our best before we look elsewhere to find solutions to our problems.
Over the past 10 years, we've built a pretty strong brand for the Land Canadian Adventures, and it's even growing in recognition. Got pretty dynamic web and social presence, 10,000 followers aggregate, and rave reviews so far. We've won several awards for tourism, for local focus, and for entrepreneurship. And we align our programs and our delivery with the DMOs and RTOs, as well as Destinations Ontario and Destinations Canada. You probably cut it there.
And yeah, I mean, we could go on, obviously. We like to chat, but and it was really nice to see you too, Dave,
so
Darby, and everybody else. But are there any questions? Oh, and our poll.
Oh yeah, there's.
Yeah.
Oh, there
All
we
right.
go.
So which
Amazing.
of these experiences does the land specialize in? Group and personalized backcountry trips, corporate outdoor team building, wilderness skills education, French and English language learning in the outdoors, or all of the above? Desiree, you were listening.
Thank you, my friends. Thank you very much, Jacob. We have been able, oh, sorry, we got a couple more. Yep.
Oh yeah, and true or
Awesome.
false, through the land, you can get ORCA certified. And the next question should be, what is ORCA? But
That's
it's
the
Ontario Recreational Canoe and Kayak Association. Jinx.
Nerd. Sorry, folks. We don't get out much.
Okay. I'm glad you were all listening.
Are
And
there
yeah, oh no, that's it.
Okay. Thanks for asking that back, Jacob. And we have been staying a little bit sharp with some distanced COVID protocoled in-person programs, even during lockdown, with some essential service clients. Health and Recovery Center out of Peterborough has been a lovely way for us to stay like literally connected with people and with delivering in-person programs. So at the very least, yes. And
but moving into the summer, we're really focusing on the youth. We're making sure that we have basically like bubbled groups where it's like you bring your own bubble buddy so that you can share a tent with them. We're going into provincial parks, so we're sticking to 3 tents per site. And so they're small and beautiful trips that are going to be heading out starting the second week of July. So we're still giving ourselves a good birth buffer zone there between the anticipated openings, but that's our goal. And similarly with Lakeville College School, we're still advancing. We actually built in a 2-week quarantine for the international students. So the first 2 weeks of the program is online while they're quarantining. And then the last 2, we're just outside the whole day. There's no computers whatsoever.
Yeah, thank you. And thanks, David. Yeah, massive fans of LCS as well.
Huge
Right
fan.
back at you. Michelle Gay is asking if we find more people want to connect with nature since COVID. I think we're definitely surfing a wave of an uptick of self-propelled wilderness travel. And so certainly the quick and easy answer is yes. I'm sure we're not the only folks that have been getting potentially stressed out parent texts at 9 a.m. on Monday mornings, seeing if our programs are going to run. Based on the interest in our Young Chirpers programs and Orca camps, I would say that's a definitive hell yeah.
Yeah. And through the OWLS program, that sort of is a catch-all for like.
Well, I can answer very specifically.
Okay, go. Yes.
It's at the moment we've got 2 certification courses in knife safety and axe safety that can be 1 day, 3 day, or 7 day, depending on the interest and the, I guess, aptitude of candidates. And they are certification. We've been building a curriculum with Caleb Musgrave from Canadian Bushcraft and delivering this at Nagajwanang Friendship Center for several years with their with the KJ program, KJ Anishinaabe program at Nogo. And so we've taken a break from that, been doing them virtually, but yeah, Ontario Wilderness Living Skills program is pretty sweet. And we can teach you a trick with a knife and an axe.
That sounds really great. And we thank you for the amazing videos and presentation. So if there's any more questions, I can send them to you. And we'll move on to our next presenter. So I'll get Mary to introduce the next presenter, but thank you very, very much for that presentation.
Thanks
so much for having us.
Yeah, it was an honor.
Thank you. All right, our next presenter is Casey Gardner from the Lakefield Literary Festival. The Lakefield Literary Festival started in 1995 by a small group who wanted to honor Margaret Lawrence. In 2019, the LLF celebrated its 25th consecutive year. The LLF is operated entirely by volunteers on a volunteer board of directors and relies solely on financial sponsorship from local individuals and businesses. Since its beginning, the festival has become a celebration of the rich literary heritage of Lakefield and the surrounding area. Over the years, additions to the festival have included children's tent, young adult reading, displays at Christ Church Community Museum and Memorial Hall, the Young Writers Contest, boat cruises, feature films, and readings in the park by authors. Book lovers from all over have discovered this unique literary venue, and its reputation with all the reading, public, and author community is now well established. The LLF hopes to resume in 2022 with this undiminished enthusiasm for Canadian literature and the community spirit that has carried it through the decades. I'd like to welcome Casey.
Hi there, thanks very much for including us. Okay, first we'll do our poll just to test if you were listening. What year did the festival begin? If you guessed 1995, you are correct. So yeah, 2019 was our 25th consecutive year. And obviously we took a break last year and this year, but we're hoping for next year. So I suppose we can play the video.
Lakefield Literary Festival. A 3-day annual festival in Lakefield celebrating Canadian literature, typically the third weekend in July. Started in 1995 in commemoration of Margaret Lawrence on her birthday. In 2019, the Lakefield Literary Festival celebrated its 25th consecutive year. The festival would not be possible without the generosity of our sponsors. Local businesses and individuals donate money every year to keep the festival alive. Here are our sponsors of various levels. Festival has a children's tent event, sponsored by Happenstance Books and Yarns and RBC Lakefield, presented in partnership with Selwyn Public Library. There's lots of great events for children at the children's tent event. The Lakefield Literary Festival also offers a Young Writers Contest, sponsored by David and Dr. Patricia Martin. And thank you to our many festival volunteers. We couldn't make it happen without you. Here's some photos of our volunteers. The Lakefield Literary Festival, third weekend in July. Hope to see you in 2022. Visit lakefieldliteraryfestival.com.
Thanks very much for showing that. So I guess we could do our second poll. Why was the festival started? My favorite multiple choice answer is no reason in particular, but obviously that's not accurate. If you guessed A, in commemoration of Margaret Lawrence, you are correct. Oh, great. Everybody was listening. Love it. Great. Yeah, so does anyone have any questions about the festival?
Hi there. Casey, this is Bria speaking. Can I ask, have you guys opted to do a virtual version of things for this summer, or just putting it all into next summer?
So we floated that idea. It was, well, more than floated, it was seriously discussed last year when we knew we couldn't host an in-person event for 2020. We thought about it and we decided that no, it wasn't feasible for a lot of reasons. And the same for this year, it's just not feasible. So even though we couldn't have our festival this year or last year, one aspect of the festival that was able to go ahead was the Young Writers Contest. So that ran last year, and it also ran this year. We had more than 120 entries last year, and this year we had 78 entries. And yeah, so no, we couldn't do a virtual format, but we could do the Young Writers Contest because it's totally contactless and digital. So
yeah, that's awesome. It's just really cool to see the things that do come out of these like in-person events that you're like, oh yeah, we can still, the thread, so to speak. So that's really cool.
Yeah, exactly. It's the one piece that yes, we could do it.
Nice.
Thankful to our sponsors. Like without our sponsors, Dr. Patricia Morton and David Morton, we couldn't have done it. But they really stepped up last year and this year. So yeah, it was good.
Cindy, do you have a question?
I do. Thank you so much, Casey. This is awesome. So for those people that have never been to the Literary Festival, can you just really quickly run down like where it's held and like the format of it? And then I also had a question, what's your personal favorite author right now? Because I think authors kind of change. Like I think as sometimes you have favorite books, favorite authors. So yeah.
Yeah, so maybe I guess I didn't really introduce myself. I'm board chair of the festival, and I also coordinate the children's tent event. And I'm also the Lakefield branch librarian. So I do a whole bunch of different things, but, and I'm like, so the festival, it's a 3-day festival in Lakefield in usually the 3rd week of July. Many of the events are an author sharing their work, and then like a Q&A discussion hosted by somebody else. A lot of them are held at Lakefield College School in the Brian Jones Theater, so indoors. And then the children's tent is an outdoor event in the park next to the library. And then we do have a historical walk around the village that's an outdoor event. There's usually a service at Lakefield United Church that's included, usually has an author reading, something like that. And then we also do Christchurch Community Museum displays. Yeah, so it all happens on the same weekend. It's just a really full weekend celebrating Canadian literature. Yeah.
I see it. Sorry.
I was just going to say, as a grandma who has a 9-year-old granddaughter who loves to read, she's a voracious reader. It always makes my heart happy when I see her taking such joy in books. So thank you for encouraging that.
You asked about my favorite author. Well, my favorite author isn't Canadian, which might not be great, but I got to be honest. That's Jonathan Franzen is my favorite author of all time. But I do have some Canadian authors who have been to the festival who are fantastic, like Craig Davidson, Drew Hayden Taylor. who else? Keo McClare, Michael Ondaatje comes to mind. We've had some really great talented authors at the festival.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Kathy, thank you very much for your presentation. If there's any additional questions, we'll email them to you. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Our next presenters are Audrey and Bogie von Bogen from Shambhala Bed and Breakfast. Shambhala Bed and Breakfast is located in the hamlet of Buckhorn, just 90 minutes northwest of Toronto, on a world away from pressures and stress of the city. Enjoy 44 acres of untouched natural beauty, a 3-acre pond, and access to trails and sanctuaries to relax and reflect. Relax in the interior spaces that reflect influences from global travel and Asian sensibilities. After a restful night, they welcome you to enjoy a fresh from the farm, locally sourced breakfast menu. At Shambhala, their promise is to make your stay personal, relaxing, and an experience that will keep you coming back year after year. They look forward to having you as guests. I'd like to introduce Audrey and Bogie.
So I muted your volume, so you might need to unmute yourself now. You can see, so it's the one that shows just your telephone number. Then you want to unmute that one, if you can see that on the screen. If not, you can always call my cell phone and I can play your sound through my phone like before.
They might have to scroll down the picture so they can actually see their phone number. You know, using the up and down thing.
While Audrey and Bogie are sorting out their audio, we'll play their video.
Perfect.
I'm Audrey. This is Bogie von Bogen. Bogie's a nickname for Otmar. So we've been around for a while. I've been in this area for how long?
Since 1974.
74. Bought a cottage. We built a house together on Lower Buckhorn Lake, a beautiful home at the end of Deer Bay Reach Road. And then we decided to do a bed and breakfast and bought this place, and we've been working at this for 14 years and had all kinds of wonderful people from all over the world here.
Yeah, most of our visitors come from Europe, about 2/3.
Right. We're always busy, so except last year, of course, COVID hit, and we've been closed since last Thanksgiving. Shambhala is a very unique place. It's a Tibetan word, actually, and it means a mythical meeting place where man and beast live in harmony. And we thought that would be very appropriate for here because of the wildlife we have around us. We have visitors from bear, deer, moose. So we're very, most of our, I guess 2/3 of our guests, as I might have mentioned, come from Europe. And so they're overwhelmed by the wilderness presented by Shambhala and the animals that they see here. So we try to look after them, and we don't feed them, we don't encourage them, they just are here. We have a pond full of turtles. It's wonderful.
We have 3 suites, guest suites. We have a queen and a king, and we also have a family suite which has 2 bedrooms. And that one is basically an apartment. It has a kitchen, laundry facilities, a lounge / living room, and a little dining area, and a screened entry for sitting.
We welcome you at Shambhala. We are looking forward to having a lot of guests coming again this year. So please check us out and either phone us or check our website. And I think you will enjoy our property. We have a lot to offer. Bogie?
And we will be seeing you very shortly after all this COVID mess settles down. looking forward to having you here.
So I'm not sure if they've been able to get off of mute yet. So while they're working on that, we'll launch their poll. I know the answers, so. What year did Shambhala B&B open? 1975, 2004, 1996, or 2006?
Sorry about all the IT problems, folks.
There they are.
Okay.
So we're just taking a look at your poll.
All right. Do we have any questions here? I can't read them.
We'll let you know of the questions. Do you want to just briefly introduce yourselves?
Okay, Audrey and Bogey, of course, and we started our B&B in 2004. I've been in the area since 1976, so it's been a long time. And I had property here, and we had built a house on Lower Buckland Lake, and then decided to buy this property and build a home here. We're on 44 acres of great wilderness. Our guests come from all over Europe, and you know, we're just very excited to be able to open up again soon because we've been closed since last October. So here's a question on the screen. Oh, that's funny. So we go ahead.
Looks like quite a few people have tested our muffins.
Muffins, that's correct. Yes, correct. Imagine being known for your muffins.
So we have some questions in the chat that we can let you know. And people are saying that your blueberry muffins are the best ever.
You know, they've been just about in every country of the world. People take them along with them and they beg for the recipe, which we're keeping secret. It's probably more precious than the Coca-Cola recipe.
I don't think so.
But anyway, we have a beautiful chunk of property here. We're adjacent to the Kawartha Highlands Park, and we don't have any groomed trails per se, but we have a lot of footpaths. We're lucky we're in an area that is bounded by Highway 36 on two sides and the Mississauga River on the other. So people can get good and lost in there, but not terribly, because they can hear traffic everywhere in that triangle. So eventually you get out. We do get European guests that get lost back there, but they have a tendency to run in the front door, drop their luggage, and go for a walk.
Our guests that come from the city and from elsewhere, they're not familiar with this countryside here, but they also are always surprised by the wildlife that walks through here. We never know whether we've got a bear next door or a deer walking through, moose, fox. Our pond is full of turtles, and we've counted in the late fall 48 turtles on logs and
It's all the space there was.
It's all the space there was. So it's a turtle sanctuary as well, and I think people are really, really turned on by what they come here and see in the outdoors as well. It was quite an interesting place to visit.
Now you have a lot of you know, Buddhas, and kind of like you have the Tibetan name. Did you get your inspiration from like travels, or where did you get the inspiration from your eclectic array of items at Shambhala?
Well, I mostly from travel, and it's, you know, it provides, I think, a feeling of peace. It's tranquil and peaceful, and I just, for years and years of traveling and bringing them home with me and not realizing how many I had collected. So
we're just both really naturally drawn to it. We have no idea where, maybe from a previous life.
Keep telling people I was probably I don't know what, Geisha maybe in another life.
Let that life behind.
I certainly
Anyway, we really enjoy what we're doing. We're looking forward to opening again, but it's a little problematic for us. We're both in a high-risk category, and there's no clear mandate from the provincial government as to what a bed and breakfast can do. As a matter of fact, bed and breakfasts are almost never mentioned. So we're hoping to be able to open in a week or so.
We really are impressed with what you've done tonight in this program and the incredible information you've had from various people, the guests that have been on. We're very, very impressed. And I think that I would like to, we do advertising through our B&B, and we have a board where we have all kinds of material that we hand out to people. And you know, the organizations that have been on here tonight, we would love to carry some of their material in our rack as well, because we have people that know nothing about this, and it would be great to be able to pass it on and say, look what you can do when you're up here. You know, share.
That's a great idea. Everybody wins when we work together.
Can come over here and help us set up this damn thing. Appreciate it.
No. Thank you. You've done a great job, and I'm really, really impressed with these organizations. I want to sign up for the Land Canadian Adventure myself, and I don't know if they've got an age limit or not.
I think it was 101, I think, is our oldest participant so far.
Rest assured, dear, you wouldn't even make the top 10.
And I'd love to find out from the Curve Lake people if they've got material that I could have in my home, my library. I like to contain books from everywhere, and we send people all over the place. So it's wonderful having this new information to be able to share with our guests. So if you have material and you could just drop it off, we'd be happy to display it and hand it out.
Okay, so looks like we have a question, and then after that we'll wrap things up.
Okay.
Sorry, which one, Tracy, are you going to take? It looks like Andrew has one asking if there's availability this fall, but I think Bogey might have answered that already, saying they're just not quite sure what the things are going to be. So I have a comment and then a question. For those of you that don't know Audrey and Bogey, Audrey has been a huge part of the backbone of small business in the Buckhorn area long before really you know, people were super involved with chambers formally. There was lots of other business groups, and Audrey was always a huge part of that. So she has been a major promoter of all things local and small business way before it was kind of the trendy thing to do. So we all owe a debt to people like Audrey and Bogey for getting us where we are. So thank you for that. And I was also going to mention about your high tea. She used to do, and I'm sure maybe at some point you will, she served high tea. So for those people that weren't as sophisticated, and I never did get there, I just think it was such a cool thing that she offered. So once again, there's so many amazing things offered in our area that we don't even know about. And that's why these hops are so important. So get out as much as you can to them.
With the Christmas Wonderland from the December 1st to the end of January, the house is transformed into the North Pole.
That sounds wonderful.
It is.
So I'll hang up the phone and I'll pass it back over to Mary.
Thanks,
Thank you so much. Thank you, Bob and Bogey and Audrey. I want to thank everyone, all of our incredible guest speakers, for joining us today and speaking to us about their amazing work that they do. We are so lucky to have such remarkable businesses and organizations in our community. And it's like Cindy said, it's great to be here to learn more about our area and see what we have to offer, and then we can support each other.